in our, I'm going to call it BCST, because Biodynamic Cranio Sacral Therapy just goes on, we'll be here for another hour, just saying the word 6,000 times, is in our training as practitioners, what we are doing is spending hours and hours and hours learning how to recognize these different systems, how to feel these different systems under our hand, over our hand, and connecting to all the different layers and understanding how they are all interconnected. So the fact that the blood runs through the muscles, the nerves run through the muscles, and the digestive system affects everything, and everything affects the digestive system. So hours and hours are spent so that we can touch into bodies, hold bodies, and recognize different sensations, different layers, different connectivity of the body, whether we're feeling bones or muscles or fluids. Okay? So, BCST is a whole body modality. It keeps the relational focus of all the parts, and so that the practitioner and the client can feel their way around through areas that are feeling comfortable and areas that are feeling stuck. And I love this picture because it actually, it's quite hard sometimes to explain what we're doing and what we're feeling, and this picture gives you a lovely example of the hands are on the outside of the body, on the skin, and yet, depending on what the body chooses to want to explore that day, we can feel the spine, we can feel the fluid in the brain, we may be able to feel the nasal passages. So it's almost as if our hands become eyes on the inside of the body by being able to sense the body on the inside. Right. So we are actually bags of fluid, mostly, for the most part. We are, I think they're making the percentage of how much fluid our body really is get higher every time they make the percentage. So I think it's at least 80%, maybe more, that we are fluid. And so from every single cell, there's a membrane around every cell, and inside the cell is fluid. To the entire system, which is a skin around a bunch of bags of fluid, quite frankly, when you think about it, whether it's muscle with different tensions or whether it's our intestines. And so body fluids flow round stuck areas. So the pictures of I love seeing the picture of a river or a stream that continues to flow. So our body continues to work, and it just moves around stuck areas. Okay, so I love using the metaphor of the river flowing around rocks. And so what we're doing is supporting the letting go, can be the supporting of letting go of stuck fascia in a limb. So fascia is, this is what fascia looks like. It's like a sort of gooey, cobwebby type of thing, and it's everywhere in the body, as we discussed. Or we can be assisting a lumpy intestinal tract become a little more relaxed. Or even helping blood through the thoracic inlet get to the brain better, because there's the relaxed tension. So all sorts of different layers of how we're supporting the body. This is one of my favorite slides, always has been. This is a depiction of our sympathetic nervous system. This is, it is one of my favorite systems because it's our safety system. It's what keeps us safe in the world. It's what motivates us into action. But it's also a system in our culture that becomes incredibly overactive and sometimes can get stuck. So in almost every session that we do, a big part of what we're doing is helping this system relax, so that then patterns that are stimulating this little man to keep running can then change and explore relaxation. So this system is an integral part of what we're connecting into, and it often feels like almost like you're connecting to a very low voltage electrical socket when you connect it with. And we all have it. I have it. Even however many years I've been doing this, I can have a practitioner touch my feet and it's buzzy. Exactly. It's buzzy because that's how we operate. So what we do is we follow patterns of trauma. So if we have a fall, and I look at this picture and it's probably the opposite from what I'm going to describe, but if we have a fall on our left hip, it's going to affect the right side of the body. And if we continue to have the left hip adjusted or try to realign it, then it won't stay. We need to kind of become detectives and go, where else in the body could be continually holding that we're not addressing, i.e. the right shoulder, that needs to let go before the hip can then plop back into place. And having looked at this diagram, I have a funny feeling that it's maybe that the right shoulder actually got whacked or is completely out of alignment. And you can see how these muscles and ligaments pull and they adapt to the new way of being. But it means that that left hip is going to be out of alignment in some way, right? Makes sense. So it's that tensegrity has got pulled off balance. It doesn't mean we come to a complete standstill. It just means we adapt and become lopsided. Okay? So life happens. And we become rearranged as life goes along. And the brilliance of our body is that we compartmentalize ourselves and go through life where there are things that the body can't handle at different stages in our life, whether that be emotional or physical or any other thing, moving from one side of the country to the other. And the body just compartmentalizes because it has to keep going, right? It has to keep functioning, it has to keep eating, it has to keep working, it has to keep, looking after a house. And so it just goes, I can't handle this right now, I'm going to shove it down my right leg, which sounds a bit weird. So when people come on the table, very often there are body parts that they're not aware of. They become shut down, and because that way they don't have to think about it all the time, right? There's probably going to be some sort of journey where we may just drift off quietly. And when we first looked at this picture, we thought it was magic carpet, but it's actually a boat. But there are times when we need to actually check out and just relax, and that is part of that nervous system thing. It just needs to rest. BCST actually helps to find the puzzle pieces, rearrange them, and put them back in some sort of order. So BCST is a gentle touch modality that flows. I can't read the screen, obviously. You can all read the screen. That follows. Start again. But you probably all read it by now. Whereby we feel and follow areas of pain and health in different places to support healing. Okay. What does an inherent treatment plan mean? Well, first of all, the word inherent, what does that mean? It means innate, built-in, permanent, an essential attribute to a body system. It is designed to, the body system is designed to constantly work towards healing itself. So the innate, the wisdom, the permanence of the inherent treatment plan is that the body knows best. The body is actually the smartest thing in the room. Okay? It was there. It records, it feels, it senses, it remembers everything that's happened to us. The conscious mind is very selective about what it remembers about our lives. Okay? So, the inherent treatment plan may look pretty illogical, actually. So, from the left to the right, we start by touching in, we call it touching in at your feet, because it's sort of a good good place to start, where we can read the system, the body feels like it's safe, there's lots of space. And then we may follow this seemingly illogical, extraordinary path that doesn't make any sense at all in order to get to some level of alignment. So I'm going to give you an example of a treatment that I did recently. I had a woman come in who had had a successful right breast mastectomy. She'd been cleared, there was no chemo or radiation needed, so health-wise she was relieved and happy. Right side of the body, right hip was a bit off because things were out of balance. And so logically you'd think, okay, well, we're probably going to help the right side of the body heal. So she lies down on the table, we spend a few minutes just relaxing and connecting in, and she said, this is really weird. The right side of my body feels really grounded, it feels really solid on the table. I can't feel the left side of my body at all. And I went, okay, so I could feel up to here. So intuitively went to her left hip, and we ended up working on lumpy intestinal tract, which makes total sense when you think about the stress that was involved. This is connecting the story afterwards. At the time I'm going, I don't quite know what I'm doing here. This is strange and it feels kind of weird, but this is where I am. Intestinal tract calmed down. It felt very agitated. It felt as if the nervous system was still running at a level that was way too fast. And then I went to her left shoulder. Why? So in the intake, she had talked about, I talked to her about a little bit about the anesthetic and the long-term effects of anesthetic, and she said, yeah, I'm still kind of gapping out a little. Sometimes I get a bit foggy. I realize I have to go somewhere in town, and I go, I can't remember how to get from A to B. Just moments like that, which are some normal after effects, even after 6 weeks of anesthetic. So I go to her left shoulder, and she said, oh, I just had a foggy moment. And I'm like, okay, so it could be anesthetic. And then I went, did they put the anesthetic in your left arm? Because I couldn't feel her left arm at all. And she's like, oh yeah, they did. So that's the next part of the treatment, okay? And then we finished, the body becomes more whole, if you will. She can feel more, there's a level of relaxation that wasn't there. So that is the kind of thing, those are the paths that we follow, the wiggly paths that may not make sense at the time, but certainly help the body, and it's the body's order of doing things, okay? So, in conclusion, BCST helps with a wide range of issues. Through encouraging deep relaxation, it brings safety to the system that improves nervous system function, which quiets the mind, which in turn helps manage pain and feelings of overwhelm, releasing tensions in connective tissue, anxieties and fears, brings balance and tensegrity back into the system, creating overall health and well-being.